Hello and welcome to Sylvan Mist Designs. I have got what looks like a ton of stuff in front of me, and I'll quickly go over what all of this is before we actually dive into the project today. As you can see over here, I already have my paint, or at least 3 of my main paint colors, already loaded into my palette. And as you can see, it's real simple. I've just got 2 grays and a white. I've got a nice hot wet cloth. For my colors tonight, I've got Gray Fox, Timeless Gray, and Standard White. These are again just multi-surface apple barrel paints. The 2 metallics that I'll likely use as accents are going to be the Deco Art. This one is the Zinc Metallic, and this one from Craftsmart is a bright silver. I love this one because it almost reminds me of a pearl white. Tonight I will be using my Happy Dotting Company tools as always, and for swooshes I've got just a standard nail art tool. This is the 0.5 1.5 end. I have a black stretched canvas here. This one is a 10 by 8. I have prepped this particular canvas with a bit of triple thick crystal clear glaze. This was just 2 coats of a very, very light mist. The reason I do that is just to make the canvas a little easier to deal with for any mistake corrections. I'm going to be drawing out my grid with this white charcoal pencil. Got just a standard compass to help me just a bit. I've got a ruler. And then obviously I just wanted to pull this out. I may or may not decide to use this. I did again have the 8-sided template here. And then once I'm done to get rid of my lines, I do have this beautiful 48B art eraser. These nice soft squishy gummy erasers are perfect to remove that white charcoal. Lastly, glittering over here on the side, at the dollar store, I found these Starburst gem stickers, and I knew that I was going to be doing something in this black, white, gray kind of tones. And I thought, I bet I can find a beautiful use for this. So once everything is said and done, I'm going to try to incorporate some of these. Let's get on with getting this marked. First things first, I'm going to actually unclamp my pencil and I'm going to take the ruler, and just to find my center here, let's get this actually lined up, shall we? I'm just going to do about a 2-inch line, give or take in the middle. I don't need to go end to end. Okay. And then the same here. Okay. Now I know where my center is going to be. To make my life just a smidge simpler, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the crosshairs of what I've just done in here. I'm going to line up the 2 lines. Now all I'm going to do once I have my center marked, because obviously this is so small, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark these here. And then the very edge. Now that I've got those, I'm going to gently erase this one here. Make sure I don't have any extra lines that I don't want. Okay. Now from that center, I'm going to do 3 inches, or it's going to be, oh, I can actually adjust that, about 7 centimeters. Okay. Make sure that that's right on the center. Then I'm going to do one that's about half that size. So I'm going to go down to about a 3. And then I'm going to do one last one somewhere near the edge here. We're going to make that give or take right about a 9. I'm going to release my charcoal pencil. I'm going to come back into my ruler. And I'm going to get these guys lined up here. And I'm only going to draw just to the edge of the circle that I've made. So that'll take care of it. And as you can see, as I move this around, the canvas has this ever so slight kind of matte finish to it now. Again, it is so light. It's just 2 layers of mist, but it makes a dramatic difference with any type of corrections. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to move my tools just slightly so that they're not all in the way. Great, so let's get started. I am going to go first with the light gray, and we're going to go into a 14. You get this pretty heavily loaded, and I'll get it as centered as I can. Then I'm going to move to a 2, and I'm going to go into the dark gray. I'm going to move up to a 4 and we'll go into the white. Actually going to move down to a 1, and with this dot I'm not only going to be making a bit of an accent, but I'm also going to be making a landing for the next element. I'm going to go back into this light gray for some of the accents and some of the dark gray for a landing, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment here. So those dots that I've just placed are going to function as just another row of accents. Now I'm going to go into the dark. I'm going to be making a series of walked dots, and I do want something like a landing space for these to sit on. So what I'm going to do is on each of my compass points here, I'm going to add an extra dot of the dark gray. I'm going to keep that one handy, and I'm going to go up to a 6. I'm going to go into the light gray here. And now I'm going to be making the center for our walk dots. Now I'm going to go back into the 1. We're going to go into that dark gray again, and then I'm going to do some dots around the outside here. And as you'll notice, these are not walked dots. I've decided to do these ones all the same size. Now doing it this way absolutely does take more time, but for this particular piece, I thought I would start with something different rather than constantly repeating the same walk movement on the first line. Alright, so those ones are done. Now I'm going to move up to a 2.5 here. For the 2.5, I'm just going to be doing the top for the walked dot section that's going to come next. Then I move down to a 2 for the actual walked dot. Going to move up to a 4, and we're going to begin some swooshes here. So in addition to the 4, I'm grabbing a hold of my nail art tool. I do have this marked. This side here, which is the one that I'll be using, is a 0.5, and it's kind of a ever so slightly pointed tip. Let me get some of the paint off of there. Ever so slightly pointed versus the other side, which is a 1.5 and is rounded. So I'm going to be using this one to pull the swooshes with. Now I'm going to put this in a line right above the tops of the walked dots and right in between them. Gonna let all that paint drip off. Get another dip. This is the one instance where I don't actually wipe off my tools. I'm going to hold on to this one with that on there. Then I'm going to take the 5, and in the way that I do them, I'm going to take and pull this down towards where I want the tip to be. Grab one side, meet the middle, and grab the other side to meet the middle, and then just sort of color that in. Okay. And actually, you know what? I may want that, I decided that I want that a little bit farther up. I want to give a little bit more room there, so I'm going to move that one. I'm going to go to the next area over here so that gets a chance to dry. I'm going to move that up just a little farther. Give or take about there. Okay, and I'm going to do that again though. Much better. Now I'm going to drop down a size to the 3, and we're going to do another second set of swooshes around these ones here. Now, as far as the tip of these ones, I'm going to put it just under the head of where the dot would be for the top. Get it equal on both sides, and then we're just going to fill in this gap here. So I'm going to take the corner, drag it down to the center, the other one, and then again just kind of fill that gap in. Okay, and then I'm going to do that all the way around. For me, swooshes have become a favorite. It's something that once you get the hang of it is really enjoyable. And I highly advise, take your time when you do these. There's absolutely no rush. One of the highlights and one of the most common reasons I see that people start mandala, especially this dot art, is because it's a meditative process. It's calming, it's soothing. The repetitive motions seem to bring that kind of peace that I think a lot of people are looking for. So especially with something like this, there is absolutely no reason to rush it. Just enjoy the process. Let your inner perfectionist out, if you have one. Take your time to go through each individual swoosh and get it looking exactly as you want it to. And if in this case you are working on a canvas, if you've sprayed it, let this be the time that you practice, because corrections can be so easy. Now I'm going to switch over to the 3.5, and we're going to do somewhat of a landing for one of the other elements. I'm going to go into the white here. Okay. And then I'm going to take and make 2 dots. Right next to each other. Right on top here. And essentially, we're going to be making a crown shape, or what I call a crown shape. So let me get these ones put in, and then we'll get a top on them. For the top, I'm going to go slightly larger, and we're going to go to a 4. I'm going to take a 3, and again, we're going to do something like a landing dot for the walked elements that'll be on top of these swooshes. Now we're going to go back up to a 6, and I'm going to get the center dot laid in. And then we're going to go up to the 2.5 and we're going to do the top dot part of the walk. And a 2.0 for the actual walks. All right, I'm back. So for you, it was just a blink of an eye. For me, it's been about 4 days. Unfortunately, a couple things like yard work and the gardening season have caught me a little bit off guard. I have not had as much time as I had wanted to go back to my painting, but now we're back. Okay, so let's just pick right up where we left off. I ended up with a 2.5 and a 2 on these. Now again, this is 4 days dry, so definitely nothing I need to worry about anymore. So at this point, I'm going to go up to a 3.5. And let's go right into the white. And we're going to do another round here. Okay, we're going to go down a half a step to a 3. Personally, if you're going to be using the flat-headed tools like I use, I do recommend, again, anything a 3 or higher, that you make your walked dots in 2 sections. I can barely get away with 3 dots there. So for the rest of them, I'm going to do 2. Ideally, when you're making these dots, your next row will sit in the nice crook of the 2 underneath it, but especially as a beginner, don't get hung up on that. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Just walk comfortably into the next series. I'm going to go down to a 2 here, I believe. Let's see. Yep, that'll make it around nicely. So again, that's a 2. some reason on this one, this dot here came out really far. So I'm going to remove that. We'll try that again. We're going to take another step up and go to the 4, 5. Now I had added, and I'm not sure if you can tell, I added one more line, guideline for myself before I started this evening. Now, my next step down would be a 4, but just so happens I do have a 4 in the round tip tool. I have a 2 and a 4 only. But what I would like to do is actually use this tip for the walk dots, just so I don't have to use a 4, a 3, and a 2. I'm going to load this one up quite a bit. And even that, I still had to dot over. So what I might do is just bring this down to a 2 about here for the last 4 dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I'm going to do is move up to a 4.5, and we're going to do some swooshes, but we're going to do them a little differently. I'm not going to do these same big kind of chunky teardrop shapes. I'm going to do more of a line. And I'm going to get a couple more of these in. So I'm going to grab my trusty little tool here and a 4.5 to start. All right, so let's go into the light gray, and let me show you what I mean as far as doing these a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do, this line should pop right up here, and I'm going to bring this right up above the guideline that I had drawn. This will be ever so slightly just above the line of the walk dots, the top of it. Okay, I'm going to get a nice heavy dot there. Now, I'm going to take this from the top and just bring it straight down as far as I can get it. Okay. And I'm going to keep it really long and really thin, just like that. For these particular ones, again, I don't want them to be that kind of beautiful teardrop, kind of the bulky head type. I want these to be long and skinny. And I've probably already said this a good twice by now, but if you're working with canvas, spray it. I like to use, again, just the real light mist. But that light mist, even as light as it is, makes these swooshes go on just like butter. And as you've seen a couple of times already, corrections are super easy. And as you can see, with all I'm doing with these, other than bringing it down straight, is just making sure that the head of the dot blends a little easier down into the line. I don't want really rough kind of feeling edges. I do still want everything to be nice and smooth. Now I'm just gonna go down to a 3.5, and I'm gonna do the same on either side. just quickly marked the very edge here straight in a line. I didn't actually continue it for the whole piece, but I just marked these lines because I'm going to actually add another element now, and I want to make sure that it doesn't get kind of crooked. So I'm going to pick up my 3.5 again, and let's go into the dark here. And I'm going to put a tiny little dot right at the tip here, just on 2 sides. Now I'm going to go into a 5, and we're going to do one more set of blocked dots here. I'm going to start a little smaller, so we're going to start with a 2 for the top of these. And a 1.5 for the walk. And we're going to go to a 3. And a 2.5 walk. And finally a 4. Let's start with the 3.5 walk. I'm going to go up to a 4.5, and we're going to do some different kinds of swooshes here. And I'm going to add a dot just to the right hand side of this line, above the dot, but sort of aligned with the crook of the next one here. Now I'm going to take my tool, get it on the right side, and I'm going to make this dot a swoosh. I'm going to pull it, give or take about there. Now for this, I'm not going to flip back and forth. I'm going to do one side at a time. So then I'm going to go down a 0.5 increment. We're going to go into a 4. And I'm going to make a dot, generally speaking, right under the head of the previous one. And I'm going to bring this one down underneath it. Kind of curve it just so that it sort of not truly touches, but get right up against that curl of the walk dots. Okay, again, go down a 0.5 point here, 3.5. Same thing, get right in under the head of it. Bring that one down a little as well. Another 0.5 point. down to a 2.5. Now this one ended up just a tad shorter than I wanted it, so I'm just going to take and fill that in. There we go. Okay. And then the last one is going to be the 2. And this one is going to be the only more or less quote unquote kind of normal swoosh. It's going to end in this little teardrop shape right here. Now let's flip this around. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So again, I'm starting with the 4.5, and each one of the swooshes, I'm just dropping a 0.5 increment to my tool. Okay, next I'm going to go into a 4, and we're going to make use of this line here. I'm going to take this one. Let's get a good position for this. Down to a 3.5. To a 3. And a 2.5. Now on the inside, I'm going to take a 1.5. We're going to go into the light gray, and I'm just going to make a couple of accent dots walked right here in between these. So I'm going to go into my 4. And I'm going to take, let's see here, on these ones, let's see. Okay, now let's take a 3. We're going to go into the light gray. Oops, get that out of the way. And we're going to do a couple of crowns here. The bright silver, and we're going to do just a couple of accent dots. All right, so for the accents, I'm going to go a 4.5 for these ones here. And then again, I also have some of this beautiful zinc. Just ever so subtle with a little hint of the zinc here. Now I will also be adding some of this bright silver here onto these crowns to make them stand out a little bit more, but it's still just a little bit too wet to do that. But I am going to take the 2.5 and add the zinc here. Okay, so now remember when I showed you guys these? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lighter kind of gray ones and I'm going to be adding these right here. Now these also come with a white, these little diamonds here. And I think I want to add those, oops, here in the center. Now to get these to stick, I'm going to use the same spray varnish that I used on the base, and I'm going to give this a good coat. Alright, so while it took me long enough to fiddle with the gems, I think that these 3 dots, the little crowns, are sufficiently dried now. So I'm going to take a 2 and put the silver on each of these. I decided since everything else was getting a top dot, these ones were feeling a little bit ignored. So I'm adding a 2.0 zinc dot to these ones as well. Now I know I'm adding a little bit of silver to the white, and I know it's not visible very much, but I don't really want it to stand out. I liked these ones just the way they were. So I want to leave them just kind of in the background here. I'm just adding this as a touch of sparkle. I believe these little tiny extra details make all the difference. All right, so we're finished. Hopefully you can see all the beautiful sparkle and shine that this has to offer now with those added extra gems. At this point, I'll go ahead and give it a beautiful 1 or 2 layers of the spray varnish. Again, that's just to protect the paint and to ensure that my little gems here stay put. And then we are calling it done. All right, I certainly hope you've enjoyed this one. I really did. I stepped a little bit out of my own comfort zone doing something in this monochromatic tone, but I am absolutely in love with the way that this has turned out. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to see more just like this, please take a moment to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.